Hello, everybody, dear listeners and wonderful beings. Welcome to this first episode of the Being Connected podcast. And what I really wanted to dive straight into is, are you a trigger or a catalyst? And I have a little story from my own life to get us started because I understood not that long ago that I really trigger people. So, my type of being, my energy, the way I look and speak, and everything, that is for many people a trigger. But for many other types of people, I am also a catalyst. So, what makes a person either want to trigger on you or want to use your energy as a catalyst? And that is what I want to dive into today because it's not that simple as it sounds. So, if we're going to dive into these three aspects of being, if you are a human being, you can know for yourself, do I trigger on a person? Can I use it for something and use it as a catalyst instead? So maybe you experience self-doubt, fear, overwhelm when you have a conversation with a person and you can tell that there's something about the way they say stuff that triggers some traumas inside of you or triggers this self-doubt, fear, overwhelm. That's one thing to be aware of. The other one is, how can this self-awareness, how can you transmute it and turn it into a catalyst instead? So one of the things you can do in your human experience, because everything I refer to in the human experience is some form of action. What type of action can we take to make this even easier on ourselves? And usually it's has got something to do with motion, do some action. So how can we, when we get triggered, can we do and take a little baby step towards something that will make us feel better? And if you know that walking is really, really good, that's a wonderful exercise and a great everyday hack for actually changing your state. So if you can tell that something is triggering you and you want to like swap it and make it a catalyst instead, try walk for 10 minutes. When you walk for 10 minutes, your hormones in the brain will actually give you a shower and release happy hormones like dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. So when you go and you walk and move yourself, when the body moves, the brain grooves, you will feel better. So when you feel better, you don't get triggered as much. When saying this, I want to really underline here that if you are near a narcissist, for instance, it's pretty hard to maybe not get triggered or maybe not being put down or feel the self-doubt inside of yourself, because that is a narcissist game. They will like kind of put you all the way up in a pedestal and then make sure that you come even further down underground. So when dealing with those types of persons, it's even more important that you clear your space out and you only hold room for people who actually love and benefits you. So if somebody like a narcissist is triggering you, that is also your cue to get out. So when we are with others, how do your presence impact those around you? So, for instance, the story that I was telling you about myself, when I come into a room, people notice me. It doesn't matter if I speak or I don't speak, if I fall through the roof or I just sneak in. I cannot sneak. That's a part of my being. I'm a manifestor in the human design, if that calls any bells for you. And So when I have this manifest energy, it's very strong and it's very powerful and it's very triggering for many people because lots of people really don't want you to shine your light because it can be difficult for themselves to say, no, I want to do this, so this is what I'm going to do. And this is me now, I'm going to do this. And that can feel very triggering for many people because they are used to dimming their own light. And for me as a manifester, that doesn't really resonate with me. If I want to do something else work-wise or anything, I'm just going to do it. So every time that I see this in others, I know that it's my energy and the way I make choices that triggers others. If you are a person who want to change in your life, you maybe want to change your relationships, your marriage, your relationship with your kids, friends, your work life, you want to get healthier, what do I know? You want to change something in your life. Then my energy is very good to have around you because the positivity that you can actually get out of the being that I am is going to work for you as a catalyst. So maybe you know in your surroundings that you can tell that there are people here that are very positive. You can always, on a bad day, give them a call and they will, bring your mood back into a better state. You can also make the phone calls that when you call a person, they kind of drain you dry for everything that was in there. So to fill yourself up, make sure you surround yourself with people who actually wants what's best for you, who can also hold space and who doesn't judge you. I think that is one of the most important key aspects in being with others and how to select the people around you. Is there the spaciousness around your person? Can a good person in your relationship hold space for you when you are changing difficult things? So that can be a catalyst, but it's also connected to how you make your choices. So being with others, make sure you kind of categorize. So what persons in my life are going to make this easier for me or going to make it harder for me? Which people trigger me? Is it from the ego? Are you going to change again? Blah, 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 blah. Is that the type of energy? Maybe that is not the spacious place you need to start growing or start taking care of you. So surround yourself more with people who can be a catalyst for you. They will wind up triggering you. I know that's the effect I have on people because change is hard for most people. And change is also hard for me, but I'll do it anyway. And I can keep changing and keep doing things even though that it's hard. And that can also be a trigger because you often just need, change something for 3 months and then you kind of like want to take a break before starting again. And that's perfectly normal. So just make sure that you have the self-love around yourself. And the only person who can truly make that space for you is you. So your surroundings is super, super important. So in catalysts are good too, being around people who fills up your cup and people who will give you energy, you know? And that's how you are connecting to others. But what when we talk about the spiritual being? Because that's a whole nother frequency to listen to it. Because when we are in the human being experience and in other being in the world with other people, we listen, we perhaps see the body language, we can feel the triggers and stuff like that. When we go into the more spiritual being, we want to take what we have seen, heard, felt, and then we will go and sit with it. Take the deep breathing and then just feel in the body, where does this takes you? And a very simple way that I do this is to follow what feels good for me. So if something gives me like a really bad vibe, it doesn't have to be that the person that I had the incident with, the connection to, it doesn't mean that this person is not a good person, but our frequency can be in two different places. So if somebody have one frequency and I have another, we are just not compatible. And let me give you an example, because if you want to tune into a radio station, you're gonna dial the buttons and you're gonna make sure that you have the frequency to listen to the morning show. So if the person you're speaking to has dialed into the evening show, you will never connect. And this has nothing to do with being a good person or being a bad person. It just means that you are on two different frequencies. And when you know this, it's something when you go to your spiritual being and sitting with this quietly, and you can follow, where does this take you? We are just not on the same frequency, which means that this person should not either trick you or be your catalyst, because you are not on the same frequency. So to find somebody who can be more dialed into the morning show where you are at, and this can be very hard, but walking through the eyes, what do you see? Observe, listen to the body language, listen to the frequency, and then go back and sit with it. This is like a very simple hack, but it also takes the action and the chaos and the overwhelm out of it. Mostly I hear that people are not sure where to find a better life, how to find better connections. When you start to observe, listen, see, what is it that people say? What is it that they do? Because when people are triggered by you, they will often refer to a trauma inside themselves that can be towards money. So if I speak about, let's say, when you want to get better at doing something, you want to do repetition, you want to keep being consistent, you are this. You keep going, you keep moving, you are consistent. And if I speak to a person that really struggles with being consistent or has money issues, so if she want to pay me for my help, and that's a little tough because maybe she didn't prioritize it correctly. So the money that she will have to pay to get the teaching, maybe, that can be a trigger for her. So it has nothing to do with me talking about the repetition or the consistency, because what you can gain from doing that is not really what's in her mind. And that will trigger her to assume that it's all about the money. You want to get more of my money. No, listen. When you see, you watch, you observe. Also, when you see intention, look at the intention that people have when they say something toward you, because I will bet that every human I have ever met can for sure tell when intention is off. So when somebody says things, you know, so you're having a conversation and then people get condescending. You can feel that intention Oh, you think you're much better than everyone else. Okay, that's a fun statement. Where's that coming from? Is that me triggering you? Or is that something in yourself that you don't feel that you can shine or you can choose or you have to suffer or you are in lack? So that when I go and do something or say something and trigger that in you, then you want to shoot back at me because your trauma or your issues come up just because that you see somebody talking into something that, even though you need it, can be hard to hear because you have something inside of you that is being triggered. So that is awareness. That's the first thing you need to have instead of, oh, that was hard of her to say, or, you go into defense mode right away. Maybe try and see what is the intention, what was being said. Is it me? Okay, do I have a wound inside myself? Okay, and then she said, and then I just assumed that she meant this, which leads me to when you ask questions. So I think we all know if you get into a position where you feel super triggered, it's actually very good to ask questions because many people just know that. I also read energy, so I'm intuitive reader of energy, which means that when people speak to me, I can see where the wounds are in their body. So that's a very nice skill to have. And that also means that I can see where it comes from. And that means that I can have all the space in the world for people. So even though that they are triggered, I can give them the space to go and be that without even, I don't want to defend myself or, correct anything because when you are triggered by a trauma you have, it doesn't matter what people say afterwards because it stings in there. So, but to hold that spaciousness for people is a skill for me that is good to have because it has really nothing to do with me, but I do know that the way that you can say things very precisely. And always, when people share with me an issue, I can hear where it comes from. So the trauma or the situation, and it can be a completely different scenario. But when people speak about it, I can see where it's coming from. So that's also one of the things about being intuitive reading. I can actually hear it sometimes when people speak, they're addressing a sentence to me, and then I can hear the voice, on a side track on the person. And when I was younger, this was really hard for me because I felt that people were lying to me straight to my face. Now, as I'm older, I know that it's actually they don't know. So many people speak and tell stories that they are unaware of. They don't know what they're actually saying. Many people I work with has also had an issue of some sort. When having an issue, and then while they're speaking about the issue, they actually also address the solution. And I can be like, well, you got it. You just said it. What do you mean? Well, you just came up with your own solution. I mean, let's wind back and so you can get it on replay. But that's really super funny, and I didn't discover that until I was older. So now I know that actually just repeating to people what they are saying are very, very beneficial for them and also for me, when I hear the voice speaking on the sidetrack of what the person is saying to me, I know what is it really about. And that's not about people lying to me or want to be rude to me, as I thought when I was younger. They just don't know. We are often blind to our own spots of issues and solutions and what should we do because we cannot see ourselves up that close. So that's one of the things that really are beneficial in my work when I do coaching session with people to, create more harmonious lives. Not balanced life, but more harmonious lives, because balance is something you, I think, will never have. And when your kids are young, you might not have the balance because you have more chores. But when they get older, you get more time to do other stuff and so on. I think harmonious is a word I really prefer over perfect or balanced life. So back to the trigger and the catalyst. When you sit with whatever triggered you or how you felt a catalyzed moment, when you sit with this still and you feel, where does it take me in the body? So when you can tell if a trigger and you can feel that it really, it hurts and it tastes bad and it's not a place for you to want to hang out lonely, you can go into that emotion and then decide, where is it coming from? So is it an ego person who want to put you down? Was this actually a person who had good intentions who said that to you, but because it's a trauma you have, you feel triggered and you feel very bad about it? And this is super important because if somebody is a trigger or a catalyst, this will decide what should you do next. And to become aware of what is it about the other being in the world, what was that person's intention toward you. And when you sit with that, you can just make the breathing exercises into this yucky stuff. And when you breathe in, and you can breathe it out, and you can sit with it. And if that person meant well for you, you can sit with that and you can release it more and become aware, okay, this is a trauma. I should be looking at this. Can I use this person going forward as a catalyst? Do I not feel strong enough yet? Or should you do it on your own and go the spiritual way before going into the human being experience? So being aware of where your being is and switching back and forth between your human being and your spiritual being, and then having this connection with people around you. So this is what I had for you today on triggers and catalysts. I hope that it was something that you can take in and use in your everyday life. This is the first episode. I'm super excited for finally doing this. I really, really wanted to do this a few years, and now I'm doing it. So I really hope that you'll support it if it makes sense to you, and if the things about swapping back and forth, being more confident in your human experience, but also exploring and using that intuition, because one of the things you do know, our intuition tells us this person is not good for me, or this person, wow, would be super good for me. I want to have friends like her, or I want to have friends like him. We know this. And you can also get closer to a person and then find out that there's too much ego there. No, it's not for me. Or when you just don't feel like doing anything else, maybe you should surround yourself with somebody who catalysts a little more for you, or maybe triggers you a little. If the intention is good, then it can push you forward, catapult you forward into growing. And one thing that is true in this life and in this human experience is, if we stop growing, we'll stop living. And that can be difficult to grow, because growth is often while diving into the hard stuff. But growth comes from within. So remember, if you are being triggered or catalyst by somebody or around you, remember, this is an opportunity for you to grow or to decide which direction should this go in. So I root for you, and you have a great day. I hope you'll consider giving me a like and a thumbs up, maybe even a review on my new podcast. And let me know in the comments what you want me to talk about, because there are many, 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 many aspects of being that we need to share some light on. Have a great day, you guys. Bye.